Hey everyone, welcome back. If you've been following the Noob Selling Options channel, you know we've been setting up some absolutely massive strategic shifts lately. Well, today's explainer is breaking down a major one. We're doing a deep dive into a huge portfolio rotation that literally just took place, and we are officially introducing a brand new absolute powerhouse of an asset into the fortress. We're talking raw alpha, hard numbers, and honestly, a masterclass in strategic capital deployment. But real quick, before we jump right into the receipts, take one quick second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now. Seriously, it helps us keep bringing you these direct, zero fluff breakdowns of the trades that actually matter. You definitely aren't going to want to miss what we're building here. Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1, the portfolio rotation math. Let's track exactly how the capital was raised, step by step. So this rotation generated a grand total of $5,659.61 US. But how did we get there? First, we closed out 3 SOFI LEAP contracts. Specifically, we're talking about the March 19th, 2027 8 calls, which pulled in over $2,800. Then we trimmed some side positions. We sold just over 11 shares of ServiceNow, ticker NOW, at $106.85, locking in a really solid gain of $1,186. And finally, selling 3 shares of CBRS rounded out the inflows. Just clean, strategic trims right across the board. And here is where that capital was immediately deployed. We executed a market order to buy 300 actual hard shares of SoFi common stock at $17.02 per share. The total deployment for that? Exactly $5,104.50 US. To put that all into perspective, this illustrates the entire structural swap beautifully. We've got capital raised on one side versus capital deployed on the other. Guys, this is the literal definition of a clean rotation. We swapped out leveraged, longer-term options and side positions to secure 300 actual shares. We traded leveraged options for a rock-solid equity foundation. And you want to know the most highly satisfying result of all this math? After fully covering the purchase of those 300 SoFi shares, there's a net cash surplus of $555.11 US, added directly back to our buying power. It's a perfectly profitable rotation that sets up our next strategic phase flawlessly. Which brings us to the next phase. Welcome to the fortress. So, with those 300 shares sitting ready in the hangar, we are officially inducting SoFi into the core AI fortress and crypto portfolio. Now, you might be scratching your head wondering why a FinTech stock belongs in a highly concentrated AI and crypto strategy. Well, here is the entire thesis. SoFi is not just your standard bank handing out personal loans. No way. It is the only pure-play fintech infrastructure asset sitting right at the intersection of consumer finance, enterprise SaaS, and proprietary AI. It's a brilliant structural move that perfectly bridges the gap between high-growth tech and volatile crypto. That leads us to our first strategic pillar. SoFi is basically the AWS of fintech. Look, most standard banks out there are relying on super clunky, third-party legacy infrastructure. Not SoFi. They actually own their entire end-to-end cloud-native technology stack through Galileo and Technisys, which provides AI infrastructure at scale to other fintechs. Then you've got Cyberbank Connecta. That's a proprietary deep learning conversational AI that's massively slashing customer service overhead. And finally, there's their machine learning risk profiling. These models like G-Score and Give to actively prevent identity fraud in real time. So you aren't just buying a bank here. You are literally buying the enterprise AI platform that powers the rest of the industry. Moving right along to the second strategic pillar, radical barbell diversification. The absolute crucial point to understand here is this contrast. A really tech-heavy portfolio is deeply vulnerable to things like specific sector rotations, semiconductor supply chain shocks, and shifting rate environments, right? Well, SoFi operates on a completely different business cycle. They capitalize on net interest income and transactional SaaS fees. Because they are backed by a massive, low-cost member deposit base, they have structural protection and real pricing power. Basically, they act as a rate cycle hedge, completely capable of capturing yield even when macroeconomic rate cuts get delayed. It's built-in armor for the portfolio. And finally, our third pillar, the wheel strategy flywheel. Let's talk pure portfolio mechanics. This right here is an aggressive cash-flowing operational loop. Step 1, we hold that baseline of 300 SOFI shares we just secured. Step 2, we exploit the elevated implied volatility. See, because SOFI has tech company growth metrics, its options actually carry much richer premiums than your traditional value equities. Step 3, we extract those high-yield covered call premiums week after week to generate cold, hard cash. And Step 4, we funnel that surplus cash directly into high-conviction digital assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. It totally balances our core exposure while literally funding our next moves for us. SOFI perfectly bridges the gap in the AI fortress and crypto portfolio. And now that we've got those 300 actual shares locked and loaded, I want to leave you with this exact question, and I want to hear your answers in the comments below. What would you do next? Are you writing your first set of covered calls on these 300 shares immediately to start juicing that cash flow right this second? Or are you going to let them ride raw for a bit just to see how the market behaves first? Drop your strategy in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this explainer. Stay focused out there, and I'll see you in the next one.